So we're now up to turn 7 in Modern War Number 2, Oil War Iran Strikes. And the Iranian player is continuing to focus his attack on Kuwait and Kuwait City in particular. And I'm continuing with this fairly effective tactic of bringing American air power in to kind of blunt the attack. This time again, I got the Iranian 41st Division immobilized and the Artesh 11th Artillery as well. So it weakens the attack here, but you can see there's still not much strength here. It's really whittling down, and the Saudi position in the town of Amadi is eliminated, and the 20th Mechanized Brigade is neutralized. You can see it just to the south of Kuwait City in the picture here. When we get to the coalition part of the turn, things are looking good for the coalition because they are continuing to hold out. Although I'll say there's some concern about the situation at Kuwait here. But the Saudis are holding their position, and the American Marines are still at bay in the Persian Gulf, waiting to be brought in. And it is allowing me some flexibility to determine where the best landing site will be. Then I get a really sticky event here during the event phase. It is Russia, China, and the European Union call the United States to accept mediation. So what are the implications of this event? Well, as the coalition, I have to decide what to do. If I accept the mediation, I'm not going to be able to use air power next turn. I can't attack, and I can't use air power against the Iranians. If I decide not to accept the attempt at mediation, then the Iranians' victory points needed to win will decrease from 4 to 3. So the Iranians already have 2 victory points for controlling both of the Baghdad city sectors. So I'm very close to losing Kuwait City here, and the other one in the Kurdish region is questionable. So I decided as the U.S. to agree to a token effort at mediation. Of course, I know this is ultimately going to fail, but at least it will keep that victory point up to needing 4 instead of 3. So I think that's probably in my best interest. So that's how the diplomacy went. Now I move on to turn 8, starting with the Iranian player. Yeah, so this is turn 8. The Iranian launches a futile attack against a strong position in Kuwait City. You can see in the picture, there's the U.S. 12th Heavy Brigade there. It's going to be tough for them to get through that. So, but they have to make this. They have to capture this. It's one of the conditions of victory for them. Going to the coalition player turn, I'm feeling as the coalition player, things are starting to get under control a little bit. I'm not as worried about Kuwait City anymore. The Americans have a very strong presence there. And I know Saudi Arabia is somewhat covered by their own army, and the Iranian forces have been heavily attenuated over the past few turns. However, during the events phase, we get sandstorms again. So all that ends up doing, it hinders American movement into more defensive positions, but not really worried too much about that. So we'll go on to turn 9. So on turn 9, I don't have a picture for this one, but the Iranians attack the northern city of Erbil. This is in the Kurdish area, independent area, and they actually had some fairly good success this time. They destroyed the Iraqi 2nd and 3rd Motorized Infantry Divisions, and the U.S. security base there was finally wiped out. However, the U.S. 8th Medium Brigade combat team survived. Yes, they suffered heavy losses, but they retain control. Also, there were some attacks into Saudi Arabia. It pushes them back, but really the overall Iranian attack in the south is failing to produce any significant results. During the coalition part of the turn, I just am mainly remaining in defensive positions, and I do have the sandstorms in Saudi Arabia, so that's keeping the American forces kind of stuck, but I'm not too worried about this. We go on to turn 10. So on turn 10, the Iranians attack again on the north side of Erbil in the Kurdish area, and the first round is conducted by the Basij troops, and these cannot combine with the Revolutionary Guard and the Artesh, so they have to fight separately. They can never bring their full firepower together, and both sides suffer some step losses, and that's about it. The Revolutionary Guard follows up and makes an attack, a separate attack, and both sides suffer another round of losses here. And for all of that, the Americans still have one strength step left in Erbil. So the Iranians aren't going to be able to get that, and they realize that they've lost. And as the Iranian, I'm just throwing in the towel. It really didn't help that my elite units missions all failed quickly. And I do hold the 2 Baghdad hexes, so I have 2 victory points. And the Americans refrained from bombing any of the cities, which also could give victory points to the Iranians. So that kept the Iranian victory requirement at 4 victory points. So the American bases in Saudi Arabia were never really threatened, or in Bahrain. And frankly, Kuwait City is still standing strong. So this game is going to go down to a coalition victory. And I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.